Fellow students, family, friends, staff, community members, and other guests, I thank you for joining us in this graduation ceremony of my fellow classmates and I. But before I go on with the rest of my speech, I'd like to invite my twin sister, Mackenzie, up to the stage. As she makes her way up here, I'm going to explain my reasoning for this. Mackenzie and I have been neck and neck all throughout high school. After every semester, either she was beating me or we were tied. But by the end of this semester, I slipped by her, and I feel kind of terrible for it. We've been by each other's side from the beginning, so why can't we end that way too? You okay? These past 13 years of my time at West Point Public Schools has been a memorable and life-changing experience. I began my journey in kindergarten and elementary school. Usually people can't remember their elementary years, especially kindergarten, but these seem to be some of the easier years for me to remember. As I look back, I realize how difficult it was to wake up, go to school, come home with my color by number homework, watch Arthur, and go to bed before 8 o'clock. Because, life is so much easier now. Today, I am so jealous of the 12 hours of sleep that we got when we were that young. Instead of me stating my jealousy, there is one thing that around 22 of you down there will remember. Does the name DW ring a bell? For those of you who have no idea what we are giggling about, that is Mrs. Hatterman's guinea pig that she had when we were in kindergarten. Actually, one day when a sub was stuck with us, that guinea pig ended its day without an eyeball. It was dropped from counter level, flopped on the floor, and so the story goes. This was probably one of the easiest things for me to remember from those days. The next stop on my journey was junior high. To be honest, these years flew by. I can recall going to my first dances, and that's about it. Classes were pretty easy, though. Mr. Frank's study guides were the same as the test. We dissected frogs with Mr. Bulbos, and Mrs. Kent spent like 10 minutes out of every class letting us write vocab. As I continued on to high school, I realized life became very different. Classes got harder, teachers expected more, plus you had to juggle school, sports, and a job. I think plenty of us figured out how to do this at some point. As a class, we had certain responsibilities like prom. We have always seemed to have good ideas and difficulties carrying them out, but we did it. We set up a beautiful royal ball for prom, which a lot of people were pleased with. Our good ideas and difficulties always reflected in our hallways for homecoming as well. And hey, the parade float and Harambe Memorial did end up looking pretty neat. Along with all of us being so busy and getting things done, many of us also did extracurricular activities. The organization I have most memories with is FCCLA. It goes from touring in Nashville to holding all kinds of offices to having a school vehicle being backed up into a parked car. Another part of high school that all of us will never forget is applying to colleges. Whether it was taking the ACT, sending in applications, or filling out those many scholarships, we all knew that hard work would pay off. And today, we know it has. As we all go our separate ways, we need to remember where we have come from, and those chairs down there are it. I will never take for granted the times I spent with Mrs. G and Mrs. Schlickburn. I will always hold a place in my heart for these two. If I could go back to the days of Mrs. G's swervy driving and karaoke car rides, and Mrs. Schlickburn's lessons about boys in high school, I wouldn't hesitate a second. Many of our memories will fall back on this school and our class. To those of you who will graduate following us, do everything you can to make memories. To teachers, families, and friends, provide and offer these opportunities. To community members, do the same and keep supporting us and the future students of this high school. And finally, to my fellow classmates, let us never forget our time here, and let us never stop communicating with each other. We have a bond that can never be broken, and let's hope to keep it that way. Thank you, everyone, and good luck to all.